Just some extracts from a video from the Citizens Party YouTube channel.
7 benefits that a public post office bank would bring to the citizens of Australia.
And rising interest rates is a big story at the moment, so we'll jump straight to number 3.
It would charge the lowest possible fees and interest rates and prioritise customer service.
So right at this point in time, banks are raising interest rates in accordance with the plan laid out by the RBA for the Great Wealth Transfer, where they flooded the jurisdiction with currency, which of course inflation's always going to go up. And apparently the only way to fight the inflation that they call transfer the wealth from us to them. A well-worn cycle we've seen before. So rather than having a mechanism to control interest rates directly, which is what only our own bank would, we get this theatre.
Eyes this morning are on the banks, which are already starting to pass the rate hike on in full. And someone's got to stand up to them. Don't mince your words. What do you think of the banks?
Morning, Sarah.
Look at her smile. Is this a story about Australians facing hardship? They don't even put on a show of pretend concern.
Well, Sarah, I think they should be looking after families in a difficult economic time.
But he's the one that's standing up to them on behalf of the people. This is the extent to which he's fighting the banks.
The banks are very quick to raise rates on their customers.
No, Dominic looks so concerned, pretending he's on our side and not on the side of the banks and the foreign global investors that own them.
The darkest days in the pandemic, when the Reserve Bank was cutting rates.
That's an out-and-out lie. The RBA does not set interest rates. It just nominates a cash rate value. The only way for Australians to set the interest rate is to have the Australia Post Bank.
You've written to the Banking Association, but I guess the reality is that as a state premier, there's very little you can actually do when it comes to rates.
Now, 20 seconds ago, she said, OK, someone to try and take on the banks. Then she just said, well, you can't do anything. I'm laughing, but I'm crying at the same time.
Are you pointing the finger at the federal government? Should they do more about this?
She's actually pretty good. She's, from Central Casting, which is, journalism school. She must have done really well in the audition. She's got the inflections in her voice and she could certainly bullshit her ass off. So let's just see what the Federal Treasurer's up to as far as bank rate interest rates going up.
I'm concerned about the pressure on Australians with a mortgage as interest rates rise. I think that's pretty obvious.
He's followed it up. That's pretty obvious. Obvious that I'm concerned, isn't it? You believe me? Just in case you're watching him and you don't believe that he's concerned, which of course he isn't.
This competition would force commercial banks to lower their rates and improve customer service.
Setting up a banking licence for Australia Post, it's partway going back to owning a Commonwealth Bank like we used to own. So when they removed it from our possession, they took away an avenue for us, through the politicians, to control interest rates. So it allows this guy to be paid to be premier and to be the leader of a state, but at the same time he can go, I'm completely helpless. Oh, come on, banks, can you give families a break? And this Chalmers doofus to say, I'm paid big bucks to be treasurer of the nation, but I'm completely impotent, helpless. I'm very concerned, though. Point 4 raises another very important benefit highlighted by this clip from Freddie's Unheard channel.
But if you've got a situation where if you joke about a certain issue or topic, the promoter says, you can't do that, you're never coming back, and tells the other promoters not to book. It's a nightmare. Take Jerry Sadowitz. So Jerry Sadowitz, the most subversive comic I've ever seen, has his show cancelled, and the venue in Edinburgh puts out a statement saying the opinions he expressed on stage are not in line with our values. They weren't opinions, they were jokes. Well, have you been going to the theatre lately? Have you, basically every show is a sermon, basically. And it's a sermon of the establishment point of view.
It's the theatre, the arts, these kind of industries. Yeah, the money is flowing to the wrong people for the wrong reason.
Now he goes straight to the source. There he says money, but it's really currency. We'll forgive him for that. But the point he's making is that whoever issues the currency and controls the flow of it, they get to control what's happening in the comedy scene over in England. They're getting censored. They can control who gets hurt and who doesn't.
A people's bank would be charged with advancing the common good and making sure credit is available to all on an equitable basis.
Credit available to all would be to venue operators that wanted to host dissenting theatre plays or comedians. That went on for a bit longer if you want to look at the Citizens Party YouTube channel. And they've got a petition on their website to create a public post office bank, and there's a link there. I'll also put it in the description. So if you're interested, go and read what they've got to say. So this Citizens Party, it used to be the Citizens Electoral Council. They're one of a number of small parties that have very low visibility. They don't get interviewed on mainstream media. Keep these guys hidden. Because although the globalists have got a lot of key people in a lot of key positions, there are also a lot of fair dinkum Aussies that are in positions to be able to do something that are doing their best. There's Rod Cullerton and others as well. He sort of focused on the legal side of things. And a few of the independents are doing some good work at some of those Senate hearings. But raising their visibility, well, that's part one. And part two is just, supporting them and voting for them if we can get them into power. But this post office bank, it's almost like a panacea. If we can get this over the line, get it straight, because there's down in Canberra all the time pushing for it. And it's not just this party here, there are other people pushing it as well. And can a nation really call itself self-determined if it doesn't have its own bank and relies on foreigners? All right, that's it for this one.